warmth in his voice now, even though he didn't look away from the screens. I hope so. She mentioned bringing me in with her, asked if I'd ever consider going private. Now that got his attention. He glanced over, his dark, amber-flecked eyes surprised. Yeah? So? She shrugged. She wasn't going anywhere right now. No plans to make a change, but it's nice to be asked to the dance. He snorted, half smiling before he glanced back at the screen when one of the men started shouting. Move back! Move back! A blast of light covered the screen before it completely blacked out. What's going on? Rowan hobbled over to the panel of screens as the commander shouted into his comms. But Adalyn knew. Oh, she knew, and she was going to be sick. It had been a trap, because that had been an explosion. What the hell is going on? He shouted again. Hold on, pulling up satellite images. Oh. The intel officer went quiet as balls of flames erupted from the side of the mountainous terrain below. Another blast quickly followed, the silence of it deafening. It seemed to magnify the horror, the loss of life, in quiet detail on screen. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but she ignored it as she stepped forward, everything funneling around her until all she could see was him. Rowan. He swiveled on her, his expression dark. You provided the intel for this op. You sent them into that cave system. They wouldn't be there if not for you. This is on you, he growled before stalking away, slapping the tent door open in his exit. The words punched right into her, even if she didn't blame him. His people had just died right in front of him. He was angry, grieving, and... Oh, God, her phone was buzzing again. Her boss. What just happened? She snarled as she answered. We have a problem. Chapter 2. Present Day. Pressed up against the moss-covered brick of the decrepit building, Adalyn reached up and slid the skinny wire and camera through the sliver in the blacked-out window. You see anything? She murmured through her earpiece as she crouched down out of sight. A big green dumpster blocked her from anyone walking by the alley. Not that many people were out near the docks at 3 a.m. Yeah, move it slightly to the left, Skye said. She was in the van with Colt and Brooks on the adjoining block. They were running a 4-person op that had ended up being more complicated than they'd planned, but that was fairly standard, she'd learned in the last few months. Working for Redemption Harbor Security was a lot different than working for the CIA. Less rules, definitely working in gray areas, and she trusted her team to have her back. How's that? She shifted the angle again, wishing the window wasn't so high up. Perfect. And, okay, I see both girls, tied up, looking a little grimy, but no visible injuries. 2 guards. We can take them if we move now. Adalyn didn't bother to ask if they were going to call the cops for this. They would after they'd rescued the young woman they'd been hired to find. Her parents had assumed she'd run away, but after a deeper look, she'd been taken for ransom, along with a friend. The parents were now talking to the feds, but they were moving too slow, so here her team was. Meet me at the loading area, Skye ordered. Adalyn pulled the camera out, shoved it into her pocket, then hurried down the alley toward the long, unused loading dock. At one time, this had been a warehouse for processing canned seafood, and the scent of it was practically embedded in the brick. Now it was apparently a place to hold victims of professional kidnappers. Well, that little ring was about to get busted up and destroyed. Moving quickly, Adalyn hurried past one of the security cameras they'd taken over remotely. For anyone watching on the feed, they'd see puddles of water scattered throughout and a dumpster so rusted out that it had never been stolen. She reached the loading area at the same time Skye did. Just us? Adalyn asked. Yeah, Colt's manning the front, Brooks is watching the feed and keeping an eye out. From where you were, the targets are about 40 feet away from us. I'm going to go straight at them. You're going to circle around and move in as backup for the girls, and to see if there are any extra tangos we don't know about. Their intel said it should only be 2, but Adalyn had learned the hard way not to...